skill position players, who gets you excited, who may be you fairly confident in making that decision for Miami, who may be, based on your resources and your information, there might be a little bit more work to do?
I mean, I think when you talk about the offensive side of the ball, before we get into the main position, obviously the quarterback, you got to look at that skill position at the wide receiver. And when it comes to South Florida, we all know that some of the best talent that ever comes out of any area of the United States is South Florida when it comes to that wide receiver position. You got guys all over the NFL that is born and raised in South Florida. So when you talk about the wide receiver, you got to talk about Josh Gattis as a coach and who he is actually offering right now. And you got to go with, at the top of the board, you got Brandon Innis out of American Heritage. He has pretty much got an offer by everyone. He is the top wide receiver in this class. He's got a top 6 currently of Ohio State, LSU, USC, Miami, Bama, and A&M. And obviously right now, Ohio State seems to be the front runner in that, with Alabama as well. But Miami has been, doing a very good job, again, that R-word relationship and building that trust in Brandon Innis straight from the beginning of when they recruited him a few years ago. So Brandon Innis is at the top of the list. But as far as who Miami seems the most confident in right now, it's got to be the guys of the Jaylen Browns of the world. You got Lamar Seymour, who's a current commit for the University of Miami. Who knows what happens with somebody like him? He just recently took a visit to UCF. He does have a few other visits planned in line. And then another guy that was recently committed to Miami, decommitted, and got a lot more interest in, some of the big-time programs like Georgia and Alabama, and that's Andy Jean. And even though he was decommitted at one point, he recently just came back to the University of Miami, met with Josh Gattis, and he feels very good, very comfortable with the direction that Josh Gattis is putting this program. So Andy Jean coming back in this class looks like a very realistic possibility. But then when you're looking at current situations, the last 48 to 72 hours, Mark, you got to look at Nathaniel Joseph, who recently just decommitted from Clemson, is visiting Louisville this weekend as we speak. That program right now in Louisville is doing a very good job as far as recruiting and, again, building relationships with young men. They have been getting a lot of good recruits committing in the last couple days. So that is one name to watch. But next weekend at Legends Camp, which is going to be, bigger than a Paradise Camp, this is going to be the biggest recruiting visit that Miami has had in a very long time. Nathaniel Joseph will be back at the University of Miami next weekend, and I expect him, to trend towards the University of Miami. And I haven't even mentioned a guy like Hakeem Williams as well. So Miami is in a very good spot for, 4 big-time targets in South Florida.